Hey, partners. Welcome to Rendezvous with Jamie McGlue. All right. So, what's so good about the world anyway, hey? I think I feel a song coming on. What's so good about planet Earth? Oh, change that chord. It's a weird, weird song with my human gang. We're living in the world. We're trying to get hurt, or are we trying to heal? Many a country grabbing at the heels. We're living on the earth. It's a crazy song, but it's superb. Okay, there you go. You never know what's going to come out. So, I cannot be held accountable for the creative impulse of the universe. I'm just the messenger, um, and the sleepy one at that. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about what's good about countries. So, I haven't traveled that much, but I've traveled a bit, and I want to travel more. And I've traveled with my mind quite a lot. Like not astral projection, unfortunately, but just reading and that kind of thing, and watching videos, podcasts, learning about what's around the spherical neighborhood, if you will. Okay, what's so good about? Let's start about where I'm born. All right. Or where I am born is the present moment, constantly, but where I was born, Australia. So, man, I guess Australia's got space. That's what's good about Australia. Like, not just like, obviously there's the physical space, like it's 25 million people, and it's like the size of like the continental USA. Um, what do you call contiguous USA? It's huge, but although the middle of it's, like desert, so there's a lot of space taken up by that. Um, but also like space, like say I grew up in Perth, Western Australia, and so it's the most isolated capital city in the world. Like I think Honolulu is second place, like uh, or maybe like geographically, like it's par or something, but like it's in between North America and Asia, and it's part of the USA, a big tourist destination. So it's not isolated, right? People all over the place go there. Perth, you got the Indian Ocean on one side, you got the, Antarctic Ocean or, Southern Ocean the other way. Got the huge desert north and east. It's faster to fly to Indonesia than to Sydney, And so many bands you'd be looking forward to some band coming along on tour. They're coming to Australia, cool, wow. And then where is Perth? Oh, it's got skipped, And that was a very common thing. And just, but the up, so there's downsides to that. Obviously, things being more expensive and stuff because it has to get there. Um, but I think the plus side is it makes it a more unique. It's kind of a bit like a slower pace of life. Last I was there anyway, and just a bit more. Yeah, you can just there's the city, and it's not so caught up. I guess it's more old-fashioned in a way. It's like what old cities used to be before mass communications kind of got everyone up, and into the internet, and that's obviously happening in Perth as well. But I think part of the thing being isolated kind of gives you a bit of space, a breathing room where and there's a lot of bands from Perth, and one theory is that it's because it's less connected to the other music circuit, so it's kind of developed a bit more unique. Anyway, so there's a lot of nature too. You could say like natural spaces, but yeah, Australia in general is kind of like what Perth is to Australia, Australia is to the world. So all right, that's what's good about Australia. One thing anyway. What's good about Ireland, where I live now, where I am born now? Ireland, well, many a thing, but let's go with music. People are religious about music, and there's like, you have 100,000 people from all around the country each year gathering for the Fleadh Cheoil, like the music festival thing, where you have all these competitions where there's all these like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, all these, and you're up to like teenagers, um, who are like playing traditional instruments. So they got the Spanish guitar, or they got like um, uh, bowron, like the drums, or if they've got like the uilleann pipes, the kind of elbow pipes, sound similar to bagpipes. It is with a bag kind of thing. Uilleann means elbow in Irish, so uilleann pipes. And what do you know? Fiddle, like violin, etc. Accordion, box accordion. So, and it's amazing. The music's so good, but they have these competitions, and it's really, really intense, high pressure level of competition, and just you go to the pub, and there's people just playing instruments in the pub. Some pubs don't allow it. Like the general international thing, but so many pubs they'll be like, you can go in there with a guitar and start playing, and they'll be like, oh, very good, delighted, and the national symbol is a harp. I'm not aware. Let me know in the comments. Are there any other countries that the national symbol is a musical instrument? I don't know. And I think this kind of goes back to like the Druids even, and that they passed the ancient priests and shamans kind of and wise folk of Ireland, the elite, who they we know very little about them because they passed everything down orally. They didn't write it down, as far as we know. And they had like this sacred, poetry that they all had to memorize. Before you could move up, you had to memorize like reams of poetry. And that's still a tradition we have, even in the folk tradition and country and stuff. Bob Dylan or whatever, and stuff. In the USA, where it's come from the Appalachian music via Ireland, of this tradition of just devoting enormous amounts of verse to memory, being able to recite it off by heart. And so you have that. And what was I going to say there? Yeah, so even like the harps, like the monks, when the Roman Empire fell, and you had Ireland was kind of influenced by the empire. Like Christianity had come to Ireland through Saint Patrick, but it was never part of the Roman Empire. It maintained its sovereignty and independence, although it's next to Roman Britain, and did trade and stuff. So then it managed to, kind of wasn't just so disrupted. It's kind of maintained its stability. And then the Irish, all the, there's all the island of saints and scholars, the land of saints and scholars. They went around basically and relit the lamps of learning all around Europe. They, founded monasteries all over the place in France, Britain, um, Italy, everywhere, kind of spreading ancient Greek and Latin knowledge and writing and literacy and all this stuff. And all the knowledge that you need to read or write to understand or to be able to access. And so that's pretty cool. And they would go around with these miniature harps that they would carry, like smaller, much smaller than the harps you usually see these days. And kind of like charm the locals into being like, oh, all right, maybe we'll join your religion and stop being barbarians. Um, and yeah, the English used to go to Ireland for higher learning, as far as I understand it. It's like there's a certain point where, okay, if you want to go beyond this, you need to go to Ireland. We don't have like, because they were like all the local institutions, kind of collapsed when the Roman Empire collapsed. Anyway, so that's cool. Ireland music. All right, now that's the closest to my heart. So let's get into other things. French, or France. What's so cool about France? I think the French are very themselves. Like they're very, there's got that reputation for, sometimes being a little bit haughty or whatever. Or that, yeah, oh, what, there's many, many lovely French people. I have a bunch of French friends. Um, Shout out to Adrian in particular. Sorry, other French friends. But yeah, all right, Thibaut too. Um, but yeah, and I don't just like uh, it's a very kind of insular in a way, but I don't know. I like it. They're very proud to be French, and I guess it seems like there's a certain elegance to it, to the French thing, and obviously France is changing and stuff, but I think that's cool. That's the kind of core. There's some sort of elegant self satisfaction or something with being French. They're just delighted to be French. All right, jumping across the world. South Korea, extremely hardworking. Love it. Japan, extremely organized, and they seem to find beauty in orderliness, and including in social interactions, and like politeness and hierarchy and kind of grace, social graces and stuff. And these are stereotypes. There's many people who don't fit into these categories, but in general, in my experience, it is true. That's a cool thing about I teach English for a living. and as a second language, and uh, like so I kind of get to travel wherever I am because all these the countries come to me instead of I don't have to go to the countries. But yeah, so it is true. I can confirm. Japanese in general very orderly and organized, and I dig it. It's cool. What else can we say? China got very deep history, and they've been through a lot of crazy stuff, and yeah, I think like the ancient knowledge of China is really, really incredible. Like the whole, all the stuff about yin and yang and, Taoism and the balance of things and the way, the way that can be spoken is not the true way, or the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. Um, and just, stuff on sexuality and like medicine, and just, yeah, the, you know, very ancient culture. And it's cool that like there's a bit of I'd say like many countries, there's issues these days with totalitarianism and a lack of respect for individual liberty, I would say. Nonetheless, they've been through a lot, and I can kind of understand how they got there. They were that foreign empires really made a big mess of China and tried to completely subjugate them. So it's natural that they reacted by trying to become as powerful as possible, even if they have to make certain sacrifices in conscience, maybe among the leadership. Um, but anyway, but I think yeah. So I'd say yeah, both just like um, in terms of holding themselves together, that's pretty admirable. But I would say yeah, the ancient stuff, that's what really it's like wow, I think. And I hope China can maybe see more of a rebirth in that, because I know at a certain point the Cultural Revolution tried to destroy all of that um, when Mao was trying to hold on to power and was like turned the youth against everyone and said just burn down all the monasteries and everything. And um, but uh, but yeah, that's cool stuff. Like so all right. Let's see what else. Russia, controversial, spicy. I like that Russia is very traditional, like, kind of just simple. It seemed, as far as, again, yeah, I don't know, I know some Russians and stuff, and they're pretty direct, in my experience. You're mostly pretty, you know, kind of not too interested in trying to, put on like some, polite air, they're kind of quite open, but like kind of not in like a South American kind of party way, but like a more just like very grounded, rooted, simple way. Like there's a lot of memory that's of just the crazy stuff that they've been through, um, and it's somehow just in the culture there, in that there's a certain kind of groundedness of just But yeah, so I like, but they do seem to, yeah, I don't know, they just seem like quite grounded people. I like that. Um, let's see. Germans. Um, yeah, let's say I mean, several things you could say, but I guess yeah, like again, work ethic. Yeah, that's awesome. I dig it. Organized. Italy, food. The Italians have nothing to do with it. Uh, uh, Fatli gazzi due. No, is that the right way? I don't know. Uh, shout out to Stefano. Um, but yeah, you know, many things are cool about Italy, but I think their attitude. Okay, I'd say their attitude's even cooler than the food. Like, because they're just this real like relaxed, musical kind of vibe about them, and that's really cool. Um, the Swiss for their invisible networks of global domination. Um, Austria for no, just kidding. Switzerland. I don't know. Beautiful mountains. Good job. Good job on those mountains. Um, what else could we go with? England. They run a tight ship. I'll give them that. Um, you know, that genocide by omission a few hundred years ago. Well conducted. No, just kidding. Sort of. No, England. What's cool about England? I guess England's very independent. They like to which is ironic because they didn't seem to respect that too well for a lot of the world, um, taking over the world. But most or many cultures have done that, so whatever. And that's a human thing. It's not an English thing necessarily, although some cultures could be more into it than others. But yeah, I don't know. England, I guess. I mean, the whole Tolkien is probably the best example of Englishness. The certain love for decorum and kind of pastoral simplicity mixed with high learning and achievement and arts. Um, so he's got the hobbits, say, that for kind of like the more salt of the earth, people of the folk of the land, English, and then say, the kind of more elite or whatever, you could be getting into like, Numenorian archetype or like Gondorians or the elves or whatever, this sort of aspiration of high achievement and cultivation of consciousness. Um, so yeah, I'd say Tolkien, the Tolkien-esque English vibe. Um, let's see, Scandinavia. So I love the architecture, so I'm gonna go Denmark, Sweden, Finland, uh, lump you all together, and Norway. I mean, look, Iceland. I think all their what's cool about them is their lack of architecture because they managed to just survive. Like the temperatures dropped after post settlement. And they had no tree like quite a while after. And it was like much harder to grow food, and there was like volcanoes going off. There's just all these Vikings just there, like shit. It's much harder to farm now, and like volcanoes going off every now and then, just totally obliterating, villages and stuff. Um, and they like ran out of trees. So at some point, I don't know because of temperature change or if it's they used too many or a bit of both. But they were like living in hobbit holes basically. Like they were back to hobbits. They were like living under the ground, not like a hobbit hole. Wasn't that nice, um, as shelters and for quite a long time. Like so they, real gnarly, like real strong people. And so respect. That's cool. And then now it's like this extremely rich country. It's like, yep, well done. Just told you, you just had to be patient. USA for their freedom, you know, the government has gone completely rogue, and Washington D.C. is based upon has passed laws and enacted laws, countless laws and regulations, which are patently illegal under the Constitution, which is the highest law. So it's a lawless land at this point, unfortunately, to a large extent. Um, but the American people don't want that, and the American people, I think, have are fighting now to they've woken up and realized what's been happening, and that they've been tricked, and they're fighting to retake it. The movement of say Robert F. Kennedy Jr., etc., bringing people from left and right and independents all together, trying to get everyone to say, look, okay, we need to take back our democracy and end this kind of invisible empire thing, where this war machine which makes money off of just conquering countries and pretending to be helping them, um, pointing fingers at everyone else when they're kind of doing all this criminal behavior. But yeah, it's the freedom that's in the Constitution, though, and still the Americans, a lot of them kind of live by that still, and self-sufficiency, very celebrating success and innovation, and like, yeah, well done, you did it good, that the culture is very practical and success oriented, like, and individualism, like they really seem to worship the upward social mobility, which is a very practical thing to worship. Um, but yeah, and just liberty, like you life, liberty, and property. Um, basically the core thing of like that. That's what the government should be protecting. That was the basic idea of the Constitution. I think if it can be brought back so it's actually enforced and lived by, you know, it's going to be a great example again. City on the hill, shining city on the hill is an example to other nations. Um, Mexico, well, there's that, one of my students, Lena, comes from there. She's cool. So well done, Mexico. Um, Canada. You have Montreal. Well done. Um, yeah, I'd say, I don't know, in general, Canadians are very chill. There's crazy people everywhere as well. Unfortunately, Canada's finding that out because, their democracy is in even worse shape than the USA. With, Trudeau basically acting like a dictator and illegally, freezing bank accounts and shutting down democratic protests and stuff like that. Crazy stuff. Jordan Peterson, what's happened to Jordan Peterson? Insane, terrible. Look it up. The Ontario, board of psychologists or council of psychologists or something, and they're like trying to force him to take re-education classes, like some communist regime, uh, for like offensive statements. It's like, excuse me, that's not that's not a liberal democracy. Um, but nonetheless, Canada, yeah, the normal people are very chill and very cool, and yeah, kind of grounded. And yeah, Montreal, great place, a blend of French and English culture, and I love it dearly. Je t'aime bien, Montréal. Um, so what else? Other countries, Brazil, love to party. Like one of my, the Brazilian guy was like, every night, man, every night, just go party every night. Work really hard and then just go party. No, that's not everyone, but it seems like there's a lot like that. And someone's got to be partying, balance things out. That's good. Um, let's see. I won't talk about every country in the world. I'll spare you that. But let's see. What can we go with? Easter Island, got some killer statues. Are they run by Chile? I don't know. But anyway, um, let's see where else. Let's go with New Zealand. New Zealand. Um, they're doing a great job of working on their pronunciation. I'd say it's coming along quite nicely. So no, New Zealand for humor. They're very funny people. So that's cool. Like in again in general, right? Like so that's I think like kind of funnier Australians, or more light-hearted Australians. Um, what else could we go? Cambodia, sweethearts. They're just so nice. Like just 98% Buddhist or something. Um, they're all every single person is 98% Buddhist. So they've got 2% something else in their head, but 98% Buddhist individually. Um, but yeah, they've been through so much. They're the most advanced civilization or country in Asia in the early 20th century, I believe, more than Japan. Um, and the Angkor Empire from back in the day, like in like the 1500s, I think Angkor was a bigger city than London. Um, and yeah, it was like this immense civilization. Angkor Wat, if you've seen the pictures or been there, it's beautiful, um, and very mysterious. Like it seems like a lot of the story has been lost. It is my feeling. Like it's certain things which are like I don't know, it doesn't quite seem to add up. But I don't know. Anyway, the communists took over and Pol Pot and just reset the clock, killed all anyone who had any education, and then they like, oh, we have to all go back to the farms and grow food and stuff, but we don't know how to do this, and this land isn't even suitable, and oh, everyone's starving. Now we're eating bugs, and bugs have all these parasites in them, and all that, and there's all these maniacs going around who are just taking power, and it's just terrible. And the civil war and blah blah blah, Khmer Rouge and all that. Um, and so, but they come out of that and they're just incredibly peaceful, grateful people, just very grateful just to, even though the government seems to be quite corrupt today, still, they just seem very grateful just to kind of, be able to enjoy peace. Um, so yeah, they're great. Let's see. India. India is like the best and worst country simultaneously. So it's kind of like the universe. It's like a microcosm. It's like, oh, there's so much suffering and terrible stuff in life, and so much wonderful stuff and graces in life. But overall, you can't say, oh, it balances out. We're neutral. We'll call it even. No, it's like the fact that there's anything is amazing. It creates this incredible beauty and music and harmony and um, this play of contrasts. And so that is the good that has no opposite. Um, and so yeah, India's like that. It's got the good that has no opposite. Um, and yeah, it's just I mean like you see people just dead people on the side of the road, or you see people being burnt at the burning ghats in the river. Um, and then you also, and people just saying, oh, life's cheap in India, and just like, pollution, like smoke in the air. Like Delhi is just like, I was at some temple and it was just gray, but it looked like mist, but it was smoke everywhere, all around the whole place. It's like, there's nowhere to get free of this. It's just, I have to breathe it in. Um, Crazy, claustrophobic kind of thing. Like there's no fresh air. You have to just breathe it. You just have to deal with it. Um, and litter, there's, some train. So, oh, is there a bin somewhere? I've got all this, rubbish. And so this guy next to me, so, oh yeah, yeah. Just takes it from me and goes to the window, opens the window. He's about to throw it out the window. I was like, no, no, give me that. What are you doing? And he looked at me like I'm crazy. And like, Jesus, I'm trying to help you, man. Um, and so I like took it and eventually found a bin, like hours later. But and so there's a lot of corruption and this kind of stuff, and nonetheless, there and yeah, poverty and stuff. Um, but there's also incredible like architecture and history and spiritual wisdom among like a minority of the people or whatever. There's like, but there's all these like sadhus, like holy men, like walking around and like orange robes and stuff. That's happening right now, and like just yeah, so many different languages and food. The food is incredible. Okay, so India is just land of contrast. It's madness. It's beautiful. All right. Let's see. Could go Egypt. Egypt. Love it for ancient Egypt. Well done. Uh, let's see. Oops. Oh my God. Ramsey's punching me in the face. Shout out to ancient Egypt with my Ramsey statue. All right. Um, and yeah. All right. Let's see. What else? We got Greece. They make some killer feta. I like the feta. Um, I like that allegedly, they're dodging their taxes. I think we should all be paying far, far less tax. Um, Czech Republic. I like that my the love of my life comes from there, so that's good. Produced my princess. Um, what else? Could go Spain. I like how kind of social they are. They're all like they just kind of constantly want to buzz and hang out with each other. Um, we could say what remains. We have scan in the. You're calling out names. I can't hear you. It's not loud enough. Um, say Poland's cool. Like it's kind of a bit of a mix of East and West, a bit like Czech Republic. So like Catholic, but Slavic. And it's kind of just yeah. They seem like I haven't been there, but I've met Polish people, and they just seem like a cool people. Pretty friendly and yeah. I don't know. They also a bit traditional, grounded. Um, Similar thing with Ukrainians, although I know there's some ancient, or maybe not so ancient, but like historical grievances between them. But Ukraine, Ukrainians I've met seem, um, like quite, yeah, kind of grounded in that kind of tradition thing, and quite like open, direct people, similar to Russians, dare I say it, or like the Poles. Um, but yeah, let's see what else. Serbians. Just Serbia's just hell good. What can I say? It's just hell good. Um, uh, yeah. Okay. Maybe. Ooh, Israel. Okay. I like that Israel is so innovative. Like not in terms of their military and prison infrastructure. No, I mean like like all the desalination plants and like you know growing all the oranges in the desert and stuff through all this irrigation from water they've pulled out of the Mediterranean and removed the salt. And just developing this society which seems like very a great place to live for the people who live there as you know in the words of Dave Smith. Just listen, a great podcast between Dave Smith debating Robert F. Kennedy about what should be done in the region, on the situation and whether the war should be, is justified in Gaza or what's going on there. Um, so, highly recommend that. And yeah, I need to look into it more. It's a mess, but I'd say, can we just stop the killing, But anyway, but yeah, I think uh, it's beautiful that they've done, they've flowered, they've bloomed the potential of that place. Now, of course, there's the dark side as well, but we're talking about the positives here, all right? Palestinians, Palestine, I could say, uh, yeah, I don't know. I could say, well, I like that. I would say the Palestinians I've met have been, very like kind of grounded, kind people, and kind of bearing their suffering, quite nobly. Um, so let's see. And shout out to Rafi on the Israeli side. Shout out to Rani on the Palestinian side. You guys would love each other. That's the crazy thing, you know. Like there's so much conflict for no reason. You know, well, there's reasons, but you know, we can get past it. Damn it. All right, whatever. Ethiopia, this crazy mountain place with like black Jewish tribes and like homeland of coffee. It's like, and you know, the Ark of the Covenant. It's like, what's going on in Ethiopia? And like Haile Selassie, you know, Bob Marley and all them are all like, yeah, Ethiopia, Jah Rastafari. You know, very interesting. Um, let's go with one more. What are we going to choose, people? What are we going to choose? I'd say I'll have to go with um, uh, Tajikistan, just because I don't know much about Tajikistan, and I like that. I like that there's a bit of unknown in this great blossoming world of ours. Let me know in the comments, what do you like about countries? Positive energy, people. And because my opening song wasn't very good, or I feel, I'll give you another one. It's a big world, but she's a big girl. Yeah, she's a big girl, the world. Mama Nature, she's growing up, she's growing good. Big girl spinning in the starry seas. And we're fighting, we're killing ourselves, but it's just some sort of infection or misunderstanding between herselves. Are we not all one? Are we not Mother Nature learning to live with herself on the world? So much hurting, so much joy and happy flirting with dreams, with truth, with beauty and proof of divine hands at play. And that's what's so good about the world. All right. Enjoy, my friends. Thanks for tuning in. See you around.